Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let's see what we have going on today. What's that? That's a stock indice. Let's move it up to the euro. Let's see what the euro is doing there. And we go over to chat, make sure we have some sound. Ooh, 114 and change. How about that? Up and away. Go, euro, go. Not really moving too far in any direction. Let's see. Let's get me into the chat area. There we are. And there it is. Trading with Doc. I like that. I think that's so cute. And click on that. And I'm sure I have a commercial I have to listen to for 5 seconds, which is okay. There we go. Carmen. Hey, Carmen, how you doing? Another fun-filled day here with Doc. Let's see. And let's get the, where's it at? Right there? There it is. So you can see the euro, and we go over to the fact check sheet right there. 8 full weeks now in a buy, 3 days in a buy. You can see it is pressing on the upside there. Same thing on our work here. You see a lot of green. And you can see the lines are turning up on J4X right there. So there's a lot of strength kicking out. And let's see now. Boy, if we got this J4X moving nice and smooth now, huh? I'd say it emulates my math now by 70%. That's not bad. Before it was like 50s. Now it's like, I'd say high 60s at least. So maybe as much as 70. All right, now let's see, what else can we say about this? You can see here a little hesitation. Yesterday was the high. Same there. What'd they get up to? They get up to 52. Wow. Some nice pressure on the upside. Where's 54? I keep on hoping that he's done something to those things we suggested. You know, to defend his deltas. But that's all right. He's learned not to be too brave. So the fact that he's not stopping in or talking, probably chances are is he hasn't done anything. Denial. And that's that big river going through Egypt that goes down and goes up and down in Africa. Denial. Okay. Oh no, Nile. That's it. Denial. Nile. That's it. Nile River. Okay. That's that. Let's jump over to cable and see what the cable's doing. And as you can see on the line 13, 1 week in a sell, but it was over its buy number yesterday, but 3 days in a sell. So pressure is on. It's saying you can be short. Let's see how accurate Doc is. Don't I just walk right into the meat grinder? Let's see, right there. 125.71. I think that's higher than where we started from, that's for sure. And let's get that going. It's not that bad. It popped yesterday too, but it's still pressing down. And let's see if we can get it up on our go onto our Chicago Quant. There it is right there. And there it is on Chicago Quant. You know, it went into the sell off of that, and it's going down, it's going up, it's coming back down again. So Doc is probably the only market technician that lives and dies with a fact-checked Excel sheet live during my webinar. So in other words, you know, we don't have much room. There's no fudging here. We don't have a choice of fudging. We live and die. That's what we do. Live and die by the mouth. And as you can see here, it is trying to turn up. Oh, you can't see that. Let's do this. Just now, you see the curve here in the J4X, and this stuff's moving down. And you can see here, we're already trying to turn up, and we are over the weekly. So there's no doubt there's a lot of screaming going on with the math saying, you don't really want to be short me from this. If you can, even with the daily sell, take profits as fast as you bloody well can. And that's really what we're seeing there. All right. Let's see. As I chew on an apple, and remember it's breakfast time here, and I've been out in the field. I looked at the markets for a few hours, and then I went out into the field, worked on the plants, because we are a little organic farmer here. And then we rush up the hill, get to the hacienda, to do the webinar. So you can see here. And the new tool we're using, you can see with the cloud thing, you know, a lot of red in there, green and red, you know, trying to, you know, it's giving us a good clear signal that there's some downward pressure on this product. And I got my red dots there, same situation. So, all right. Only difference was that my the pop yesterday still kept it into the red, whereas it's in the green there. All right. Oh, but you know what's interesting is that I've noticed that unchanged white and, you know, white, not red, not green, but just unchanged is usually a sign of something to come. We've noticed that. Let's just take a look at that again on the J4X. There's one right there, and you see it. There was a trend down. There's that has green in it. Too bad that wasn't all white, and there was a nice trend down. And I think when we go back, there's one right there. It was a trend down. They all seem to, of late, playing with the trend down. Let's see if there's one that shows, with that one right there, if we move this over, like there, and right there, shows the corners, something's coming, you know. Here's another one like that. Definitely some type of action is coming. In this case here, it seemed to be all on, I guess what you do is you follow the color afterwards. So in other words, almost totally white, and then, or all totally white, and then if it goes red, you know, it falls down. This one gave it a little pop there, but interesting. You know, we're just learning this tool, but it definitely has a lot of promising results so far. So we keep a track of it. Let's move over to there again. And scrolling over. So there it is right there. All right. Now, let's see. Where do we go now, brown cow? Let's see. Let's check out the Turkish lira. And I didn't see any news in particular with the Turkish lira today. I mean, yesterday was, the geopolitical stuff is ugly, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on the currency, which takes me to that crazy idea I had yesterday. Maybe the central banks have said, we'll take care of your currency and smooth things out. You slowly back it off, but you'll still look like a hero to your base that supports your wild man stuff. And the currency will smooth out. And you can show your the opposition and the base that your policies are working well, because now you've stabilized the economy. And that may be the game. It could be as simple as that. A lot of times, the simplest idea is usually the right idea. Okay. And you see here, this flat line is becoming extremely conspicuous. You know, it's really showing that something is going on with the world central banks, Turkey, and investors. Now, you know, we will be the first to be surprised if this thing starts to go wild again. And we may see, if it does, some type of geopolitical thing that disrupts whatever policy they're trying to do. But as a old political hack myself, I could see President Aragon negotiating with the West and showing his muscle, like they did when they aimed the guns at France and so forth, and then at the same time, he works a deal out with the Western governments, and then the central banks join in to smooth things out, and maybe that's the answer to this whole thing. It's been about I want to say 5, and where are we at now? 28, 29. It's been a solid 4 weeks, and no doubt we are in the summer months, but I really have my doubts. And you see this move right here? This is why I'm really curious about it. Somehow or another, on the 4th of July, is that the 4th of July? I think that was like the third, right when we were, yes, going into the 4th of July. It had that weird spike, probably because the guys and gals at the U.S. Federal Reserve weren't watching because it was the holiday. And so, oops, someone go hit the switch. We've seen this happen, and we've seen people fired at the Bank of Japan for that same reason, where they're not paying attention and someone goes on vacation. We've actually seen where, like, the director of that particular department goes on vacation at the Bank of Japan. No one, things go wild. The assistant gets fired, so forth and so on. And so this, there's our vacation, and here at the American birthday, and obviously no one's around at the central banks, and oops, it gets wild. And someone says, "Hey, wasn't anybody paying attention to the Turkish lira today?" Yeah, Mike's looking at it, and Cynthia backs him up. Yeah, but it was the holiday. They were both on vacay. Oh, shoot. I should have left orders out there. Yeah, something like that. And so that really has that look to it. So if we go on like this for, like, say, the next 4 or 5 weeks and we get into September and it's sidelined, we know that there is a deal. And then we watch President Aragon start to adjust things geopolitically, and maybe they start to smooth things out a little bit more. And you see the currency stay relatively stable, and before you know it, it's not a fun thing to watch anymore because it was a maniac for like 2 years. Let's see if we can just show you we'll put a weekly chart up there like that. And there's a weekly chart. Look how it's smoothed out. Okay. And then if we make it the whole page, going back to 2017, 2018. Is that right? What is that? That's the third quarter. Okay. So going back to 2017, this has been one wild ride, right? Look at that. I mean, it's been fun. It cooled off a little bit between the third and fourth quarter last year, but it was still wild compared to here, relative to here, using Mr. Einstein's attitude about it all. This is really chill. I mean, you can see it there with the cloud stuff. So I'm thinking that that's exactly what's going on. I think that something is going on there. That, or they found a pot of gold, and they are spending it like mad animals to stabilize their economy. It's one or the other, and I doubt that. I really do. I think it's the other way around. I think they're negotiating and trying to, remember, Mr. Trump is the art of the deal, right? I mean, his book is like, what is it? It's like the second most popular book ever written to the Bible, something like that. I know the media has forgotten all that stuff now. He's an idiot, remember? He's gone from leftist icon, where even Mr. Obama is quoted as saying in high school, or was it high school? Yeah, high school. At graduation, what would be, what is your wishes? And he said, to have Donald Trump's life. Okay? Well, he's going from that with Jesse Jackson and Oprah and all these people on the left loving him because he was a registered Republican, but he was writing checks to them for campaigns for business. And we've seen it around here. I've seen checks written, $30,000 limit or $26,000 limits to the head of the Democrats around here because they're involved in the construction and all, major, the president of the New Jersey Senate. He's union. I guess he's union treasurer and president of the Senate at the same time. And I've seen where they write checks to him. Each campaign $26,000. Melania gives him $26,000. Donald Jr. gives him $26,000. So it's like $90,000 because he's head of the steel union. Mr. Trump does what? Builds skyscrapers, right? So, anyway, that would not surprise me. This would not surprise me if there's a deal here in the Turkish lira. That's the way it looks to me. All right, now let's drift over to, where do we go now? Let's go over to the Canadian, and you know what we should do? We should go, instead of Canadian, usually we go Canadian because the two of these follow each other. And if we do Canadian, then I kind of want to go NASCAD and oil. So I think we'll go it that way. So why don't we do this, is that I guess we don't have much of a choice. I was going to say maybe we should go Swiss franc after British pound. And then if we're looking at yen, we should do yen. Then we should do Turkish lira, and then go into Canadian and NASCAD and then oil contract, because that would kind of smooth out the trend there, you know. So I think that's the way I think we're going to start doing it more often now. So for today, let's see, how do we do this? I guess what we'll do is we'll go back to Swiss and yen. We'll go to Canadian now. Right there. And you can see the strength in that right there. Wow. Well, just as I say that, it doesn't look like strength at all. Canadian falling down, so that must mean oil must be going up. And since this thing is so tight, the Turkish lira, there's not much to be said there, but you can see the tight action here too. And I saw another story today on that we situation and monies, and I don't know. I try not to pay attention to that politics too much. It's like everything else. It's like the Trumper, you know, you can only state the obvious and then leave it from there. And then let's go take a look at NASCAD. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put NASCAD up there. Right there. And then let's put oil in right there above it. La 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 la. Right there. Earl. There's Earl. You can see oil is trying to move down a little bit. It was up this morning and it's trying to move down. And you can see NASCAD is trying to move down. And Canadian is moving down, which usually means that oil is going up, though, I think. And then let's take a look at oil itself. Right there. And so there's oil. And you can see oil is on the chart is going up. But on my, and the rest of the stuff, is it down? Yeah, down. Oil's down 48 cents. That's one of the problems with the cloud, you know, tool. It can emulate like it's up when it's down. Then it catches up. That's why it's only like a 60 some odd percent. It's improved looking at this chart though, because we've gotten something that emulates a lot of my dot action. So that's pretty cool. But my dot action, you can see it's green, but it's moving down, whereas the cloud is not showing us that. You have to, you know, look at the product itself. So, and then you can see the lines are moving up from it. Well, actually, the fast is moving up. The other two are moving down. And then what do we have here? We have 10 weeks in a buy and 2 days in a buy right there, like that. Now, over on NASCAD right down there, you have 8 weeks in a buy, but you have 3 days in a sell. Okay, so let's just slide back to that NASCAD again. Yeah. There you go. It's sliding down nicely. Okay. All right, and so that's where we are with that. Okay. No one's got any questions today, and few bodies are here. It's Thursday, so I guess everybody's saving their energy for Friday to bring Doc's crazy out to the max. I guess you can only take so much of Doc being crazy. Invasion of ancient Egypt. That looks like an interesting one. So yeah, that's that's the action we're seeing there. And is that Carmen? Let me put my glasses on. Cayman. Oh, cute little monkey. I like that. Cayman was up there for a few seconds, and El Disapiro. Okay. All right, now, so there's NASCAD. Oil is kind of rolling over a little bit. You can see it here, but you know, you can see our weekly is very strong. We're in a daily buy, and you can see it's not making a challenge to the daily sell line there of 0. So This selling is obviously, relatively irrelevant. And let's take a look at it again on J4X just to try to compare it. Right there. And so there. Okay, yeah. So see that it's trying to it's in a buy too. So that's good. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And the solid line is moving up there, and that's just kind of cruising. It's got that little hump there. Only difference is that this is way higher right there. Okay, so that's our look of Earl, the oil contract. All right, combined together with the NASDAQ and the Canadian as we bite an apple. All right, now where do we go from here? Okay, so we've done those. Now we'll go to the Swiss. All right, let's go over to the Swiss. So we're going to mix up that combination because we really want to add NASDAQ, USDCAD, Turkish lira, and oil all together. Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, so now we go over and look at the Swiss this morning. That is line 21 right there. 7 weeks in a sell, 1 day in a buy. You can see the pressure on J4X right there. Everybody's heading north. Everybody's heading north. Everybody must have fun. That's right. Everybody must have fun. There you go. And you can see it here on our work too, where it's moving up. This thing is trying to get to the weekly buy. That's interesting on a Thursday. Good. Good. And we'll see how that plays itself out. See how much more strength we get out of that. Was it 7 weeks? As you can see with the pink line, it's been a nice little slide down in a weekly trend. You remember the dailies go in and out, and depends on your threshold of pain. So you use the dailies to try to coordinate it more, so you don't have to get as much pressure if you're following both at the same time. Oh, Tay, who's next on this fun ride? Let's see. Now we'll go over and take a look at the yen. Yeah, yesterday yen was... Let me go look at that again. Okay, yeah, good. The yen is now fixed right. 10. Don't ask me how that 3 got in on the buy side there. Right there. Woo. Little poppy there. Oh, no, really. Look at that. So, lots of red still. This is trying to turn up. And we are 4 weeks in a sell and 10 days in a sell. So you can see on just looking on the J4X, it has been a successful signal, that's for sure. And then there is the Yenski. And that is right there. You see same situation. And you see it's still, the daily is still below. And you can see the weekly has, like a classic Thursday, is just kissing the buy number. Just kissing it, saying, hi, I think I want to be long, but I'm not sure. Again, it will throw the first, there's the first of this, I guess, did I do it with Turkish lira? I might have. Yes, I did. But we'll throw that caveat out there again, and that is, it is the summer months, traders. So these 4 to 6 weeks are really, really no conviction type trading. So don't get too nuts, Don't think this means something in a big, broad scale. It just means that everybody's on holiday. That's what it really means. Now I think we'll have a sip of water. So I don't want to interrupt, freak out everybody by the noise. That was good. Stoot Mayim. All right. So there we are, drinking water. And there we go with the yen, almost like the Turkish lira in many ways, sideways. A lot of this product, when you really look at a lot of these pairs trades, they are really just just cruising with no real direction. Just I want to say they're like on idle, or they're sitting sideways, or there just isn't much conviction, which is what we used to refer to it on the trading floor. It's just not much conviction at all. So, you know, the signals are there. You can take them for what they are. This time of the year, they are less accurate than usual, but, you know, it's better than nothing. Let's put it that way. Compared to any other technical analysis, we're the best. We be the best. And who else would put a spreadsheet live on the webinar of all our data right there? Ours live and die by the predictions. Documented. Days, weeks, months. There we are. Okay, now, see, we did Swissy and we did Yen. Where do we go from here? Let's see, I guess not unless nobody else says something, we're going to slide over to gold. Let's take a look at the precious metal there. We'll take a gold and silver. We can go silver first. Silver's been in a buy, and that is line 9. 2 days in a buy, 1 week in a buy. It's moving up. So again, like I said, we live and die by our math. And let's put it up on the Chicago Quant from J4X, with it screaming on J4X right there. And it's moving down. So we are looking at silver down a whole 13 cents. 13 cents. And you can see here we're moving down, but we still have our green dot. We're above the daily buy numbers still with no problem, and the weekly is holding up fine. As I was saying to Robin, who runs my internet stuff, or our internet stuff, we're partners. You know, I really think the central banks just constantly use these metals as currency. So if they're trying to hold the dollar down, you know, that's why we're seeing silver being held down. You know, if they're trying to pump up the other currencies against them at the moment, that's why they use the silver and the gold as surrogates. And you can see here it's down for the day, but still in buys on both right there with no problem. All right, and now we'll jump over to, as you can see here too, look at this thing. On J4X, this baby is banging through the high end of the range. Banging. Yeah, banging. Now let's jump over to a gold. Goldaruski. And gold is the line 6. 5 weeks in a buy, 4 days in a sell, you know, stuck in that neutral land. It's trying to roll over in here, as you can see on J4X. A lot of green. Let's get it up on the old screening here. 2 greens there. You can see right there. You can't see. 2 greens right there. And you can see we're trying to get into the buy. Buy, 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 buy. Trying to get into the buy. Bird, 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 bird. Bird is the word. And you can see here the weekly is holding up very well. So this is doing the sideways gig also. So, and that's why was our position say at the moment neutral is city, right? Because we got a weekly buy and a daily sell. And obviously if you try to take that short, you know, you better take your profits fast. You know, it's a fleeting thing with this type of market, especially this time of year. Not a lot of follow through and conviction. Now. Bang, bang, bang. So there are the 2 metals. Nothing so far. Nobody asking any questions. Someone say hi at least to make me believe that anybody is out there. Just say hi. Don't even say hi. Just put an H in there. For a heck. Or hell no. There you go. All right. Now, what do we got here? Let's head over to, let's see, we've done the metals, we've done the oil. So now we can go take a look at the stock indices. And let's dissect them. The Dow is acting really well. the older stocks that have been beat up, because of a slowed and stalled economy, are starting to pop back up again. And so it was holding up very nicely. Yesterday got up and, didn't take out this high here, which I'm still waiting for them to try to do. And so, it wouldn't surprise me to get into the high 27s again. And let's take a look at it. Do we have it on here? No, we don't. Not there. Do we have it there? I don't think we have it on there either. Not there. Okay, so where do we go from there? Let's do an open. And right there. There we go. Or maybe we'll do this one, day chart. Like that. And this will show it. There it is right there. No, that's Flora stock, which is kind of neat. It's trying to get into the weekly buy, and it's trying to fight its way into that type of thing. Let's see. Let's go to it. Where's it at? Right there. And there's the Dow. You see Dow's made some nice moves across our trend lines, and it's changed. Looks like it's changed the trend line. We won't be able to confirm that until Friday, but there looks like another trend line developed, and this has become the support. Might be a little too extreme. We'll see. You see this is moving back up. Oh, you can't see any of that, what I'm talking about. Okay, there we go. You see right there, it's trying to get back into the buy. This is holding up in the buy, and even with the red and the green dot there, that's today, right? Yeah, that's today. It's not even challenging the green there, right there at the moment. And there's a good potential that, where's it at? Was it there? I think it was right there. So, I try that again. I think we've developed a new trend line from, where is that? Is it from there? No, it's from there. That's what it is. So we've developed a new trend line like that. So on Friday, we'll change those dots to like very light lines, and that'll become the new, I guess we can try to change that. Do something like that for the moment. And that's trying to, that could be the new trend line. And same thing, it's like on the top. This baby might be aiming to the 2800s. So that's what's going on with the Dow. And so how else do we say about this? I guess what it comes down to is that remember, like, this is like, there's 5 stocks. Is it 5? 5 of the stocks are part of the Tech 100, which are the biggest stocks in the world. So you have Microsoft and Apple, and then you have Cisco, and then you have Intel. Is it 4? It could be 4 of those when it comes to the Dow Jones. And then the other 26 stocks are, let's see, what did I say? Apple, Microsoft, Intel, and Cisco. So networking, chip manufacturing, number 1 phone / I guess phone company in the world, and cell phone company in the world. And then, because remember they have like AT&T, Old Bell South, and Verizon in there too. And so, so they have those 3 in there because they are mover and shakers in that industry group. And then number 1 software manufacturer in the world, Microsoft. And then after that, that is, what is that? That's something like just all 4 of those might be like 22% of the Tech 100. It could be that much. So that's that, but it's in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is very impressive. And so then I read where 27% of just with Amazon in there, and remove just something like Amazon, was it Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft is 27% of the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, something like that. Or the top 5 stocks with Google and so forth and Facebook is 27% of the S&P 500. So this is about 22% of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And remember, there's been pressure on these products. So what's lifting the Dow right now is what is it? The like the IBM and the Boeing and things like that. Some of the old companies that got beat up really bad from the shutdown. So in other words, they're interpreting that the shutdown is coming towards its end, and so there's been record tests, and there's been record cases. Matter of fact, record tests are greater than record cases. So obviously cases are dropping, but the media keeps on reporting it as advancing when it's not. And then record deaths are dropping, and so they won't even report that, because that really messes up the math. Anybody with any math math inclination, understands math, will realize that record testing is number one, and then record cases is number two, and then record deaths are number three. Now, you can reverse that if you want. In other words, the number one headline should be deaths, because that's the most important thing, right? And then the second one should be record tests, and you would subtract one from the other. And then you do record cases. And so if record cases are like, 25 million now, and record tests are like, 150 million or something like that. In other words, it's the reverse of that, but it's like record tests are like, like 28 million or something like that, or I don't know. It's greater than, and it's increasing. The record tests are increasing greater than the record cases, and the record deaths are decreasing dramatically to all of that. So in other words, the pandemic is not a pandemic anymore. The epidemic is not an epidemic anymore. Now it's just the flu. But the media refuses to report that, because this is part of the campaign for the election in November. So that's where we are, but the stock indice is representing it. The stock indice is lifting from it. We're seeing all the stock indices very firm. We've seen the Nasdaq at record highs. We see the S&P 500 no more than 3 or 4, I guess like 4% or 5% away from record highs. We see this index get as far away yesterday, I think, as 8.5%, 9% away from record highs. Very impressive numbers. So as this in particular will represent it more than anything else, is that as this one climbs, this will really represent now the success rate of the flu being beat up, because it's not an epidemic anymore, and it's not a pandemic anymore. Those numbers have dropped mathematically to the point where they're not. You can't consider what's going on a pandemic or epidemic at this point. So, all right, it's just math, people. Math, and Doc did biophysics in college, so and he was pre-med and did biophysics and did physics. So I can, with some authority, basically use the math. I can do that. I've had calculus 1 and 2, and I've had topology and modern math and a few other things, played with differential equations. So I'm allowed, and statistics, I'm allowed to have a solid opinion that will be like the fact check spreadsheet or Excel spreadsheet. It'll be pretty accurate. Okay. All right, now let's drift over to oh, you know what? Let's take another stock indice to look at. This one. This is a good one to look at. Now, what I'm going to, since no one's asking any questions, I'm just going to go on to, my experience and give you a lecture on understanding the markets. And so what this is that at one time, let me just show you. At one time on, let's go to J4X. At one time, this was the most speculative of the indices for decades upon decades, and that was the Nasdaq. Okay, and from that speculative indice, money would always look at it and say, if it became overvalued relative to the other indices, like the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, if the Nasdaq Composite became overvalued, they would say that there was a froth in the marketplace. All right, so they would say, okay, this is this is overdone. Be careful. Too many fish in the net, as Robin would say. And we would be coming to a point where you don't really want to be getting longer up at that high area. Okay, and then the 90s kicked out, and we got we had listed options and derivatives and things were flying around, and they created the Nasdaq 100 to cherry pick the best of the best that were incredibly high beta stocks, like an Apple computer and a digital equipment and a Dell computer and a Microsoft and an Intel and a Cisco Systems, and and digital was the grand poobah of it all. That was like that was, as much as all the others were interesting, like Microsoft and Intel, digital equipment just refused to fall in line with anything. And every day, people would look at the Nasdaq and say, "Wow, what is that all about?" Nasdaq, the digital equipment was trading at like $200 a share. It had no earnings that was even remotely close to it. It was the 80s and the 90s, and Teledyne at least had earnings, and that was like a $200 share. But, it was like way out of range here, okay? So now what happens is that they create the Nasdaq 100 out of the Nasdaq composite. And that, becomes like the wild beta animal. It has all those things in it. And digital equipment is like the leader, and it's carrying things, and IBM is trading at 150, and digital equipment is trading at 200, and people are like, what is Olson doing? That was the chairman. He was a MIT graduate in like 1962 or 63, and he was breaking all the rules of corporate America. He was the chairman from $1 a share, or penny a share, to $200 a share, which was not normal. Usually you went through 2 or 3 chairmen when your company grew that big. Most people didn't understand what was going on, but digital equipment was a networking stock. What it really was, it's the Cisco system of today. Okay, it was really big on networking, and no one really understood that at the time. Most people just were, confused by it. So, all right, now we fast forward to why we're looking at the, what is that? That's the Russell 2000 right there, okay? Now, the Russell 2000 is now what the Nasdaq composite was. A lot of companies that will never make it to, $3 billion or $10 billion or $100 billion, they will not make it there. In other words, 1,000 of them, there's 2,000 of them in there. There's a chance that only 2 make it there, maybe 1, and all the others, will disappear in essence over time, or just not grow, something of that nature. And so it'll be the best of the best, and it's also, only 1 will do that, or 2 will make it over a 5 or 10 year period, and the rest will go nowhere, or sideways, or up a little bit, or go out of business. Okay, so it's taken the spot of the Nasdaq composite. Okay, so now we go back to J4X, and we look at the Nasdaq 100. This is the leader now. 27% of it is the S&P 500. 22% of it is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And 10 years ago, if you would have told somebody that the Dow Jones Industrial Average was going to have 4 Nasdaq stocks, people would have said, impossible, I'll give you $1 million if it happens. That would have been the attitude. Okay, that would have been the pure attitude of it all. And now what you have is, you have totally the opposite. It's the leader. And you had the tech bubble of 2000, 20 years ago now, and it's come back, and life is wonderful. It topped out at 5,000, and you can see here, matter of fact, 5,000 became the support in here in the end result back in 2018, and you can see it couldn't even challenge that 8,000 or something like that was the support, or was that 6,700 was the support for the virus. And so you can see it's all-time highs. And so it's interesting to take a look at this one here, which is, I know we can't get the Russell on there, But let's see if we can give you a flavor of it. See, during the slide, it went down to 1,000. Now it's up at 1,400. So that's a pretty good increase. But its all-time high is like 18 and change. And so it's still a good 400 points off of all-time highs. So it's not really going anywhere, okay? But it is lifting, so it's not too bad. It's at the 50 percentile, I guess you could say. So that's pretty cool. Now, we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average as we did before, a few minutes ago before I went on this tirade, and you can see that it's trying to come back now. So it's definitely the one you want to pay attention to see how well the virus is doing. In other words, is it failing? Is it basically going away? And it is. And you can see what's going on there. Let's get rid of that scan thing. Not now. Go away. Shoo. Close. And so that's what's really going on here. Is the Tech 100 is a little chill. It's been taking profits from all-time highs of 3 days ago. The Russell is acting pretty strong in here, which means that there's not too many fish in the net. And that means that it's trying to lift up and life is getting better. That's what it really shows you there. And so that's a good way of interpreting it all, is when you look at the stock indices, watch the Dow Jones Industrial Average and watch the Russell 2000 for confirmation that, matter of fact, that's probably going to be the title, confirmation of market health. That would be a very good title. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to put that in there. And that's because that's exactly what's going on. That is a real good example of if the markets feel like life is getting better, because you're going to see the Dow Jones Industrial Average act stronger than Tech 100. Matter of fact, Tech 100 should actually start to take some profits, solely because part of that power that pushed it up was the idea that the lockdown. So it was allowing people to network and work from home, and and do all that other stuff that it needs to do. So that is really where we are with the with looking at the stock indices and trying to understand. When you look at the currencies and you try to figure, okay, well, it'll sell the dollar down because it's overvalued, or vice versa, or the way 54 looks at it and says, the euro's got to come down. They're blithering idiots. They can't do this, that, or the other thing. And so I'll be short, be short euro because it doesn't belong up in here. Well, those fundamentals are kind of gone nowadays, but central banks do what they want to do, and that's how it usually goes. So, in other words, they want stability. They want consistency. They don't want to see pension funds going down any faster than they already are. They want to see what is it? They want to see a lack of volatility. They want to see less volatility. They want to see constant comfort and growth at a conservative level, not at some type of maniac hedge fund level. So that's probably half the problem, is that most of these funds that manage money for pensions and retirees and school teachers and so forth, employees that are looking for this stuff in the future, union members, have gotten their heads handed to them because they're trading it like a hedge fund, trying to shoot the moon, when in fact they're not supposed to be shooting the moon. So, and I'm saying, don't look at the price of the dollar per se, unless it does something really dramatic, and it doesn't. It seems to be stable like all the rest of the currencies. Obviously minus the Turkish lira and some of the others, like the Turkish lira. And the ruble's been relatively stable for, let's take a look at the ruble. The ruble's been stable for a while, so let's just jump back over the currencies for a second here. There's dollar ruble. Dollar ruble's been relatively stable. It locked in the low 70s or mid 70s to the high 60s. I guess maybe the 80s. But that's over, what is this? This is a daily, and that's over, that's since March. Okay. So once the corona thing washed away, it's smoothed out also. And you can see some of the wild action here we've had. We were like in a buy for like I think like 18 or 19 weeks or 20 some odd weeks. It was racing against the what was it? It was racing against the Turkish lira at one point. The way the two of them were doing that stuff, which again makes you wonder. Now look at the ruble. It's been relatively stable, but it's that time of the year, so everything is relatively stable. But again, we're going to be watching to see if we find something going on there when it comes to trying to interpret why the stability is so powerful right now for the market with the Turkish lira against the dollar. All right, and that is really the answer to trying to understand, now that we've moved from pandemic to epidemic and we've dropped underneath the epidemic numbers to just the flu, why we're seeing strength in some of the stock indices that we are lagging behind. And the one that is really the mother of all activity in the 21st century, the Nasdaq 100, or what the Dukascopy refers to as the Tech 100, which is really the Tech 100 without a doubt. I agree with that enormously. It's all the tech companies, really. Tesla is a tech company as much as it's a car company. It's way more a tech company. Cisco Systems and Microsoft are tech companies, be it software or networking. Intel, a tech company, be it chips, processors. Microsoft, a tech company representing platform software and platform apps and operating systems, and then you have Apple representing the largest cell phone manufacturer and a sophisticated chip-based programmable computer, which is outstanding. It is twice as fast as a Microsoft / Intel product or AMD product, twice as fast with half the power. And I don't know if many people realize that Apple computer is twice as fast, much more secure for half the power used than a PC. And that's something to be really, something that should be talked about. Obviously, the media has much more interest in other things than communicate good financial engineering information. But the money knows it, because look at it. It's the number one stock in the world. And the number one position for the Swiss National Bank. So put those two things together, and it says, hey, money knows. And so that is the best way of understanding what we're looking at. And the Tech 100 is a good example of it. They have some of the most major companies, not counting Amazon, the number one internet retailer in the world. Google, the number one search engine, another tech company. All of them are tech companies, but they are bleeding into the normal commerce. And that's probably the most fun thing of all, is to see these things bleed into the natural commerce, So what else can we say about anything else? I guess that's about it. I guess that's it. We've got our title. So we're going to call it The Health of Markets by Dow 30. And DC can do what she wants. Nicole can, if it doesn't fit, she can adjust it. So I guess we can say, where are we time-wise? All right, we got a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions, fire away. And if not, we'll sing our way out of this. So we'll give you about 30 seconds to try to figure out if you have any questions. And if not, we'll call it a day. And it was a quiet day. It's Thursday. We've had some good questions this week. We've come up with a new tool, so we're really happy about all that. And we'll be catching you all tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow is TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. And for some of you listening, it is already late Thursday night and going into Friday morning. So it's already happening. it is happening. You be there. You guys are starting to really. It's already TGIF. So, all right. So let's say good night good morning to all, or whatever. So this is Doc from North America saying arrivederci, and catch you on the flip side. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all my trading friends, as we travel the market.